hop video.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Brilliant, man. So yeah. So basically, I'm representing one half of the Connoisseurs of Hip Hop, and so during this conversation, man, we're literally gonna be doing a little bit of history of you guys and talking about your collaborations on the new album and the success of the new album, man. And the name of this series is Head to Head. So if we're all cool with that, man, we can begin.
I love HF. HFM are dope, man.
Yeah,
they support me for a long time. Yeah, I love HFM. Yeah,
wicked, man. Yeah, that's their speech. That's like the original underground hip hop.
I told Speech this. I said they're British, mate. They're
nice.
They're big in the underground. They're big. They used to be literally FM. Yeah.
Nice.
I remember the FM days, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's when you used to tie the aerial on the roof, man. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I remember.
Be prepared to run when the police raid.
Yes.
Awesome, man. So to kick off, just for our audiences, man. Again, my name is SKANDOUZ. I'm repping the Connoisseurs of Hip Hop, and it's the series called Head to Head. Today we're joined by Speech, the leader of the world-renowned hip hop crew, legendary hip hop crew, Arrested Deelopment, and the UK hip hop super producer, Configa.
Apparently.
No, definitely, man. And man, we're going to kick this off the way we usually kick off our interviews, man. So I'm going to start with you, Speech. The first question generally is how you came across your name, Speech. Was it the first name you had? And also how you found your way into hip hop.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a DJ, and they call me DJ Peach because of my big head and light skin complexion. And so that stuck with me. I was DJ Peach for a long time. And then when I started rhyming more and more, I felt like, MC Peach was not at all a cool name. So I decided to put an S in front of the Peach, and it became Speech, and that just made total sense to me. So that's where my name came from. And then I actually got into hip hop when I heard Rapper's Delight back in '79. I was in elementary school and loved the record and started trying to, try my little vibes of rapping, and then DJing. And so that was sort of like from DJing and rhyming a little bit, that was my interest in the hip hop music. And then I put out a group back when I was in high school that did well in my local town of Milwaukee. It was called Attack.
They were dope, actually.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Check them out. Dope.
Yeah, and it was me, a famous DJ here in Atlanta named DJ Kimmett, but back then his name was Special K, and another brother named T.A. Wiz, who, rest in peace, was murdered. And so it was us three, and we had like success in the Milwaukee area. That was before Arrested Development.
Nice. And how did that then lead into Arrested Development?
I left Milwaukee really because of violence and lack of opportunities. Milwaukee's one of the harshest places for Black people to be raised in the United States. In fact, I think it's the #1 place. And so I left there, came to Atlanta, and wanted to start a group here in Atlanta, and put up a flyer. A brother named Tim, who I later named Headliner, became the first member of the group. He was a DJ. I was rhyming at this point. And that's how we started. We started doing gigs like in local clubs and stuff like that in Atlanta. And just different members started joining on. Because at that time, we were actually influenced by Soul to Soul, which is, a UK group. And Soul to Soul had Jazzy B as like, sort of the sound system. And then everybody else was around it. And
Karen Wheeler. Well,
exactly. So that was influential for us because, I sort of wanted to have a lot of people, creative people, from painters, African dancers, percussionists, rhymers, just a lot of different people. And that's what our shows were at that time. And when the label got involved and we needed to start touring, everything had to get more solidified. We had to pare it down to a small amount of people, which was six members. And we started to do some touring,
So the original group was a lot bigger, you're saying?
It was a lot bigger. It's like 20 people.
Oh, wow.
You know, the stage was chaotic, which we loved, you know, just organized chaos.
It sounds like a lot of these modern rap crews where you got the one guy on stage and like a 20-man entourage.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But ours was more, you know, a lot of people were really doing some creative things, like people was painting while we, you know, live painting while we was rocking and, you know, stuff like that. It's very, very chaotic, but cool.
Oh, man. So it's only...
But like, can I just say that a lot of the Arrested Development crew had talent, because Ishe, who was the dancer, can actually sing. And there's a track called Heaven where she's singing and she sounds amazing. I couldn't believe this is the same Ishe who's on the second, you know, the cover of the second album. And like, literally, she can sing, man. I was like, wow. Like, this crew is talented, like, across the board. Like, yeah. So, not every crew has that, but they did.
Real talk, man. And whilst doing my research, man, it said you guys formed in '88, but the first album didn't come out till '92. So what would you say was the reason for that? Were you guys still perfecting your craft, or?
Just shopping the deal. Like, the album title, our first debut, was 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days in the life of. That was how long it took for us to get a record deal. Oh, wow. So we were trying, like, right from the top. And, you know, it was back in those days, it was, I don't know, it was a scary prospect, I guess, to try to have Arrested Development out there. And not a lot of groups was doing what we was doing. We had an old man with us. We had men and women in the same group. We was, you know, my rhyme style was very melodic, and just, we were in the country, which wasn't normal for hip hop at the time. So, you know, it's a lot of different aspects about the group that made us a little bit of a, I guess, I don't know, people were hesitant to want to sign us at first. And then we got a label called Chrysalis that decided to go ahead and make that move.
Man. And were you fortunate that the label didn't pressure you to conform to what else was happening in the genre at the time?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate about that. You know, I produced most of the entire album, and I was really a stickler about that. Growing up in Milwaukee, you hear all these horror stories about the music industry where they have you change your whole style, and, you know, they rip you off and all of these things. So I had a lot of jumbled up messages in my head as a first time record label do of what not to do. And like, so I was really trying to make sure that I held the integrity of the record. And I feel like we did that. Yeah, the record was definitely what I envisioned.
Yeah, man. And obviously to see the success of the singles as well. And then obviously eventually going on to win Grammys, man, that must have, they must have, like, the label must have been like ecstatic that they allowed you guys to just keep your essence and see it become successful.
Ecstatic. You know, back in those days, labels really didn't know what to do with rap. It hadn't been formulated as it is now. Like, the formula of what works in rap and all of that wasn't necessarily locked in. Every crew had their own sound, and hip hop was still very much forging its path throughout the world. And so the labels would bring me in and the crew into these marketing meetings, and I would be the one talking, and they're like, yo, how are we gonna market y'all to the world? How are you gonna be accepted in the hip hop community? How are you gonna be accepted in the Black community? How are you gonna be accepted in the white community? It was like, and we're only 20, you know, at the time I was probably 21, 22. And so it was a very surreal reality being in these high-rise buildings in Avenue of America's New York City, right in the middle of Manhattan, talking to these suits who they're supposed to be the professionals. And because it was hip-hop music and not rock music or pop music, you know, me as a producer and as a lover of hip-hop, I had to guide them as to what to do to make sure that they marketed this record properly. So it was a very interesting time period.
Wow. Kind of have a new song sort of almost relevant to that. A new song is like pointing to, you know, that direction. A new song of the new album.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No doubt, man. So it's kind of like a full circle moment, man.
Absolutely full circle. Yeah.
Full circle. But just to touch on that, because we're definitely going to jump into this new album. But I did really want, I'm interested to know what that experience, obviously being such a young man and taking a group of that size, obviously firstly around the States and then outside of the States, and seeing the reception that you received when you first started touring.
It was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, first of all, it was our first record, you know what I mean? And it was, so not only was it our first record, it was our first successful record. It was our first time ever experiencing having money. It was our first time ever experiencing having fame, having a record label, having managers, having various booking agencies and all the different aspects of the music industry. First time learning about publishing, learning about copyrights. So it's like, you know, it was, and then first time traveling to overseas and in the States. And so it's just so many firsts, and just, it was very crazy. You know what I mean? The pace was so fast too, because once you're signed to a major label, and if they smell blood and they feel like this could be successful, they put you on a machine. And that's the pros and cons of being with a major label. The pros is that they have ways to take a record that's doing pretty well and take it to a whole nother stratosphere, you know? And then the cons is that they don't do it organically anymore. So you're not reaching one fan at a time. You're reaching major mainstream audiences and doing huge tours and big TV shows like David Letterman or Saturday Night Live or, you know, whatever. So it's a very different experience. And yeah, it was very crazy to experience all of that on your very first record. And I'm an MC that comes from Atlanta who had no famous hip hop groups out yet, except one that came out about the same time as us, and that's Crisscross, produced by Jermaine Dupri. And then I also come from Milwaukee, which is where I'm originally from, which had no successful hip hop artists. So, you know, talk about being a virgin in a sense. That's what it felt like, you know what I mean?
Man, so basically the trailblazer for groups like Goody Mob and Outkast.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Goody Mob, Outkast, Fugees, Black Eyed Peas,
all of them,
Erykah Badu, Talib, Mos Def. Like a lot of them were able to.
All of them.
Exactly, a lot of them were able
to
like go more mainstream because of what Arrested Development accomplished.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that, man. That's absolutely.
Give him his props, man.
You got it.
Not you, bro, but the general public. Give him his props. He birthed all of that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he did.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah,
so Configa, we're gonna obviously we're gonna get into you. And how did you get the name Configa, and how did you find your way into hip hop?
Good question. Configa is like just a variation of configure, like, you know, to assemble, to accumulate, to put together, like configure something. So you know, CONFIGURE as opposed to CONFIGA, which is a more hip hop spelling. So yeah, just to assemble like beats. I used to be called something else back in the day, which I'm not going to talk about now because it's a long time ago. Right. And it was trash. But I used to be an MC. I was called MC something. Like speech was called Peach. Yeah. I was called MC. I'm not going to, because people, I know if they watch this, they will research it. I'm not going to say it.
You've had that expunged from the Wikipedia page.
Going on, where in the UK, you would tell them, bro, that if we rap like an American, it's a no-no in UK culture, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know, right? You know, right? If you rap like an American, it's not good. But so yeah, I used to rap like an American, well, sort of mid-Atlantic, and released 2 albums. Actually, one through a record label in LA in 2002. But yeah, I focused on the production from about 2003. I rebranded myself as Configa in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like for you? Obviously, the main hub of UK hip hop was really in London. So obviously, outside of London, it's a different,
bro,
man. So what was it like trying to penetrate that scene, man?
It was rough. It was like trying to penetrate someone who's got a female who's got like a, you know, like
chastity belt on with
chastity. Because we were like,
this is getting graphic,
bro. I know. I'm sorry, but we were 300 miles away, and these dudes like Rodney, you know, Rodney P and all them. They were like, they were there. They were there. Ty, they were all there, and we weren't. We were like miles away, and it's like almost how, bro. Speech. All I can say is that like the difference between New York and Atlanta at that time. New York were happening. They were the guys, whereas you guys were the little guys that come up. That was us, and London was New York. So it was hard, man. So are you from London, bro?
Yeah, but do you know Stig?
Well, you're
Stig
lucky
of the Dump.
because I wasn't
Yeah,
for a long time. So we were, like Speech said, trying to penetrate, pardon the pun. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard, man. But so I had to move because big up to Newcastle, where I'm from, because Speech always shouts out London, where I don't live in London. I live sort of an hour away, but I'm near enough. And I'm from Newcastle. I'm a Geordie, proud to support NUFC. But you gotta move, man. You can't stay there because even do you remember Stig?
Yes, he's a friend of mine. So he's someone who's in it.
Big guy, but he can rap his ass off. Like UK's big pun, you know what I mean? But dope from Newcastle, but he moved down south.
Come to London.
That's what I'm saying. He came to London, bro, to battle, and then he started recording. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't big in Newcastle. Can I just say one thing about Stig? Big ups to him. But when I got my record deal with the LA thing, he started like doing like key styles on my website and all these other guys. Because I'm a little bit older now, like a few years older. They're like key styling on my website and stuff. And so a lot of them went on to better things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But ultimately, man, how did you manage to like penetrate that glass ceiling and start working with international acts outside?
How to move.
Oh, okay.
I'm just being honest. How to move. Look, I literally met up with I've worked with Genesis Elijah, Scorsese, but I've literally went to Scribbler. I went to Scribbler's house.
Wow.
Like I was in Scribbler's house, you smoking weed and all that stuff. I was at Scribbler. I was there in his house. Just linked up randomly. He goes, come to my crib, and I went. So I did. And Scribbler, great guy, but I wish you'd come back because we're gonna do some things. But yeah, I wish you'd come back. Jazz Gahina's in my video.
Oh yeah.
The track that have you ever seen We on Fire?
That I probably have. I probably have.
It's like I'm in the background, obviously doing that production thing. In the background, nodding my head because when you're a producer who's trying to like be in a video. K-Slade, that whole K-Slade thing where you just nod your head in the background, that's me. And Jazz, this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Jazz Gahina's MCing and so that was a great video. It's actually one of my better view videos. Yeah, in fact, we got that video in a Tim Roth film.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah, man. A film called The Liability. I had 2 tracks in there. It was We on Fire and Back to Basics in a film called The Liability.
Wicked, man. So Jazz Kahina, dope female MC from the UK.
She's sick.
Well. Man.
She should be much bigger.
Yeah, of course. And so how did you manage to connect with Speech, man? How did that connection come about?
Speech, you want to take this or shall I do it?
Speech? We can have 2 sides of the story.
You can do it. I'm listening.
There's no 2 sides, though. It's the same thing.
It could be a sliding doors thing,
Go on, Speech, you do it, bro. You do it. It means more come from Speech. Because I'm just like the same. I'm just the dude, but I'm just like a UK dude. But Speech means more coming from Speech. That's what I'm saying. So,
well, it's funny because Configa, I know my side of it, but I'd love to hear yours, and then I can fill in some blanks because I always forget like how this happened. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, bro. I'm up for that. I'm up for the challenge. But yeah, all right then. But like the thing is that we can't decide who contacted who. Speech either hit me up or I can't remember who did what. I think it was on Twitter, and it all stemmed from because originally, moving it back a little bit, I was signed to Chuck D's record label in 2017, and I released my album called Configuration Volume 1. We had like Craig G on there, Rex on there, Spoonie G was on there.
Nice. On
my album. Various people. Yeah, man, it was legends. Sean P was on there.
Oh wow.
Yes.
God.
So that went well, but then because of that collective with Chuck and them, Jahi, who's part of Enemy Radio, Public Enemy as well, he tours with them. He did, Gods of Rap. He was on stage instead of Flavor. He was there. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
Yeah. So he hit me up. He was like, "Let's work." I was like, "Let's do it." So we were meant to do. Pardon me. We were meant to do. I can't fucking hell. We were meant to do like an EP, and it went well. And then more tracks were added on, and it became LP, and yeah, it was dope, and it was like this conscious, conscious MC, boom bap beats, and yeah, it went dope. So I can't complain. Cool. And then because of Speech having a relationship with Jahi, it went, like one sliding door went to another, as you said, sliding door from Speech, so from Chuck D to Jahi, from Jahi to Speech, and then that's what I'm saying. So yeah, nice.
Let me just jump in real quick before Speech answers, man. What would you say? Because obviously you mentioned that you kind of just transitioned from being an MC to a producer. So what was it that influenced your production style? Because it's very boom bap heavy, man. So.
Yeah, man. Because I'm from that era. Because I'm older than I might look. I don't know. Because I'm like, I'm very early 40s. Okay. So I'm from the golden era. Like I remember Speech. Like I said this last interview, I was dancing to Mr. Wendell, rap along to Mr. Wendell, and People Every Day, and all that kind of stuff in '92. But even preceding that, I was like a fan of De La and Jungle Brothers, like back in the late '80s. And the thing that really connected me to hip hop was in the late '80s, I was listening to Radio 1. From like '87, I was like just a fan of music. '88, there was like, remember Pete Tong? Obviously,
yeah.
Pete Tong. He played something. I think it might have been De La, '88, and I was like, from that point on, that just spoke to me. Just all of a sudden, it was like this thing just descended upon me. Yeah. And that was it. That was the music I was into from that point on. That was it. Because when my friends were into Oasis and stuff, Oasis and the other dudes in the mid-90s. Do you remember? It was like Oasis and
we kind of had this like weird period in the UK from like the mid-90s until
that's what I'm saying, the Britpop thing. I wasn't into that. I was a bit of a hater. I was a low-key hater, and they knew it. So I came out, I don't like this. It was like Oasis' debut album, which sold like 10 million copies. Like I don't like it. And but since I've grown up, I like it more now than I liked it then. But back then I was like, nah, if you're not playing Tupac, I don't like you. If you're not playing Biggie, no way. You know what I mean? Like that mid-90s. I was a very, but since then my palette has grown. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So your style of your production sounds like you still use a lot of hardware.
Yeah. MPC. MPC. MPCX, actually. MPCX is a beast.
Okay.
Yeah, man. But I still use, but hardware, dope. But I still use software. Let me tell you something. You know Apollo Brown?
Yes. Apollo
Brown still uses Cool Edit 97, and I still use Cool Edit as well. I love Cool Edit. I'm not gonna front. I've been using it for 20 years.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
And all this flashy stuff, that's all good, but if it sounds good, use it, man. Apollo Brown's one of the best, right? He's one of the best.
Of course, man.
He uses Cool Edit. Like, Ninth Wonder, is he one of the best? He's using Fruity Loops. He got a Grammy using Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
So, bro, it's not, what girls been saying for like a lot of years? It's not what you've got, but how you use it. It's the same with production, right?
Yeah. Real talk, man. Real talk. And it's funny because you've got all of these advancements on your Logics and your and all of that stuff, but they can't replicate, that raw, sound that you get out of the MPC, man. It's just timeless,
Bro, that's what I'm saying. It's flashy. It's just like, it's like, football, right? It's like the old First Division compared to the Premier League. Premier League's flashy, it's shiny, but it's still the same thing. It's a top league, right? It's like, whatever, man. Like,
and it doesn't beat Sunday football. But we'll end up on a tangent.
I'd rather kick a ball around with the Sunday league players. I used to play Sunday league all the time. Yes.
Oh, nothing beats it, man. So you guys. No. So we've heard your side of the story. So Speech, take us to the next chapter.
Sorry, Speech. A foreign language for a lot of that.
The connection between yourself and Configa, man. How did that come about?
No, what he said was real. I mean, I like the soundscapes. So like, I listened to the HEAD2HEAD record, and not only were the beats banging, but the soundscapes were interesting and spacious, and it just felt right. And so I was like, you know, wanting to connect, and we connected via Twitter and started vibing together. And it was during the quarantine COVID-19 era, which we're still in, but it was at the top of that. So there was nothing that was getting in the way, no distractions. And we weren't like, usually, like Arrested Development had tours in Dubai, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, Canada lined up, and all of that got, you know, canceled or postponed. So it gave me and Configa a chance to really just let the music vibe for a moment and just focus. We were sending stuff back and forth, and it ended up being, you know, his stuff, a couple other producers, a brother named Chris Acosta, myself, and Mark X, made the album Don't Fight Your Demons.
Man, and obviously, so it started off really as you guys were just gonna do like a one-off, and it kind of just like,
this one track kind of thing, like you know, well, and then it became half an album. And then we're now working on the second thing. Yeah, man, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. This brother is like next level, man. He can bang out like one day.
I
wanted to say,
it's scary. It's scary.
You know, like the fact that you're from Newcastle, though, I think that, and the fact that for you it was like the equivalent of Atlanta to New York or Milwaukee to New York.
Correct.
I think that also gave him or gave you a sense of hustle. Because one of the things that I really love about Configa's, you know, whole thing is his sense of passion for the music and his hustle. So he'll get in the trenches, you know, and get online and do stuff that I thought only I did. Like, for instance, since we've released Don't Fight Your Demons, he'll get on Twitter and type in the search query, he'll type in Arrested Development, you know, Tennessee or whatever. And if anybody's talking about Tennessee, he'll go in there and tell them about the new album. Like, that to me is a certain level of like...
Speech has been doing that for ages.
And I do the same thing. So it's like, because it's a certain level of passion and hunger that I really respect about him.
Because can I just say that I hate the TV show? The TV show is like my nemesis now, because I've been like, Speech has been putting up with this for 10 years, but I've been putting up with this for like 6 months. This TV show with the same name. Like all these people talking about the banana stand. I don't care. Get out my way. I want to know about Arrested Development, the music. Come on, man.
That's wild, man. So where did the title come? Don't Fight Your Dreams. Where is
Demons?
Sorry, Don't Fight Your Demons. Where did that come from, man?
Well, it comes from the world of addiction. Like in addiction, people get addicted to alcohol or drugs or whatever. And basically, the concept is, you know, we invite these demons into our lives. And a lot of times we're trying to fight them, but we keep inviting them in over and over again. And instead of fighting them, the whole concept is sit down and have a chat with them and try to learn why you've been inviting them into your life in the first place. What is the trauma that you're experiencing that you're trying to overcoat or coat over with these various demons? And then once you understand the root of the issue, you can kick the demons out and move forward. So this album really like addresses a lot of personal vulnerabilities of myself in this record. It talks a lot about the group's passion, but also the hard road that we've had to travel. And so it's like, you know, it goes there. And I thought that the title of the album was just very intriguing, you know what I mean? And I thought it was relevant for where we are in the world. So
yeah, and I noticed with the first single, was it Becoming?
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
Very personal track, and it seems as though you're dealing with a lot of personal trauma. You're putting it out there on the world stage, man. And what was it your decision to want to take it that personally, or?
Well, it's funny because I'm gonna back up a little bit. I went into a prison and I started to work with the inmates in the prison. And one of the inmates I met, and I documented this whole thing. It's a film that's out right now. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on YouTube. It's called 16 Bars.
So dope.
Yeah, Configa checked it out. He loves it.
Oh my God.
So many people.
Love it. Yes.
We've won awards on this. It's a really beautiful documentary about prison life. And one of the dudes that I feature in my film, his name is Anthony. His story is exactly what I ended up rhyming about on the song Becoming. So it's not my actual story, but it is personal. Meaning, I met Anthony. I was deeply moved by this story. When you see the film, you'll hear some of the same story. He explains it. And he even used some of the same words that I use on this record, which is like, my mother's boyfriend used to beat the brakes off me, and I say the same exact words on Becoming.
Yes.
So it's like this is really a window into the lives of people who are going through various traumas, but that's not my particular story, although I do have traumas too. But so that's where that story comes from.
Incredible, man, incredible. And then you've got a song like, was it Young Americans?
Young Americans, yeah.
Incredible.
I love that
record,
track.
man.
I love it.
Incredible record, man.
It's one of those tracks that people don't talk about enough. You know what I mean? Because Speech produced it as well.
Yeah.
It's sick. Yeah. It's sick. Go on, Speech, talk about it.
Tell us
dope. It's so dope.
Well, honestly, I meet people, when I'm on tour, I meet people from all walks of life. And a lot of times I'll meet people who really want to come to America for opportunity, especially if they're from a poor country and they are wanting to get to America. And meanwhile, they'll hear lyrics of mine who is, critiquing America and saying things about America that is true, but are negative. And so they're often like, yo, I can't wait to get there. You're trying to, you're talking bad about America. I think it's the land of opportunity. So this song is really sort of putting a magnifying glass on the different realities, especially within the African diaspora, the different levels that people are living on and what they believe freedom is to them. It's to some of us, it means one thing, and to others, it means another thing. And it's trying to find those middle grounds. So that's what I think the song is about at the end of the day.
Wow.
I agree.
And another thing to touch on, you said you started this album process during the pandemic. So to my understanding, this is one of the quickest turnarounds for an Arrested Development.
It's new, bro. It's new.
Yeah. So what would you say was key ingredients for that?
Well, I think the synergy was working well. Me and Configa was really vibing really well. And
no doubt, bro.
If I was producing the track, or if Chris Acosta was producing the track, it was like, or Mark X, if I send it to Configa, he would have his opinion on it, and it would give me insight, because one of the things about Configa is he's a hip hop fan. So, he's a producer, and he obviously has his own sound and thing that he's doing, but even more than that, he's also a fan of hip hop. So
huge fan,
I bounced ideas off of him, and when he said, would you be all right with me being a co-executive producer? And I was like, I would, because he first of all gave so much of his time with this record. He's been so like, just, I guess the best word I could use is willing. Like every time we talk, he's willing to try it out. He's willing to, like, if this song needs a remix, he's willing to do it. He's like, he's a dude that's very, just engaged in the process of creativity. So, so that, we went back and forth and we were able to create something pretty quickly. I don't know, Configa, I would say maybe 2 months, 3 months. I'm not sure.
About 3 months max, bro.
Yeah,
seriously. For a literally classic album. Like,
I agree.
Like literally, a lot of people saying better than debut, better than.
Yeah, some people say that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's
and
crazy,
I think one of the incredible things, man, is how you captured the Arrested Development sound.
Yes.
And how you guys blended, man. It sounded so natural, and that's one of the things that definitely got me. I was just like, wow, this is a lot of people besides myself that speak on this album, the first thing that comes to mind, production, boom, brilliant.
Wow, thank you very much.
And there's a new single, right, that's about to drop, or has it just dropped?
It dropped. It dropped
right before, the day before the American election.
Okay.
So November 3rd, I think, was the election date, and we dropped it on November 2nd, I think.
Yeah, no
Okay.
doubt. And the original was like a trap beat, but I did my boom bap thing for the remix, and the remix, the DJs have been embracing the remix. So a lot of guys like HFM have been playing it. So I'm thankful for that, and I appreciate that.
Awesome, man. So I was looking at the I know you guys are always very creative with the artwork, man. So what was the decision behind this one? To have the single female on the cover?
Yeah, you know, I have a site that I run called Black Existence, and it's on IG. It's a real popular site. It basically shows the whole African diaspora and all of its beauty, right? And so there's a lot of visual artists that I work with on that site. And so I literally have been choosing artwork from that site for every album cover lately, and I'm loving it. It's great. I have a great relationship with the Fourth Finger Studios is the brother that did Don't Fight Your Demons album cover, and great dude, great artist, great photographer / painter, because it's a mixture of photography and paint. And very, very happy I started to do that with this record, because I don't know, to me it fits the vibe of the title.
Definitely.
And I noticed that with the videos as well, man. It's very it almost had that throwback feel, man, especially with the Becoming video as well. It's very it's like you're shooting short films. I mean, but
exactly.
You involved with the direction behind the video?
Yeah, Configa was behind the concept for Becoming video, and there was another company called Media Fanatics that I worked with. Big up Tony. Big up Tony, Dawn, Ridge. Good folks. And, you know, they were heavily involved as well, like with the whole concept and the whole, you know, vibe. And so it was just good energy, very good energy. And like everybody put their all in. So it wasn't like you were pulling hairs trying to get people to get involved. You know, everybody really wanted to make this their best project, you know, so it was really a lot of love.
Yeah, definitely. And I noticed that, man, and especially in this modern, let's say, industry that we're in, where artists that really put the time and the money into the production and the mixing and the mastering and the artwork and the visuals and the merch, and we don't really get that money back. So why was it so important for you that the fans got the full experience of this album?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just being creative and trying to make sure that you fully explain something. I'll never forget one time years ago when Chuck D released Welcome to the Terror Dome. Everybody at the time it first came out was saying, well, it ain't as hot as the previous PE record, and it's not as big, it's not as sonically amazing. And his response always stuck with me. He said, well, you haven't even seen the video yet. Like, you haven't even seen the entire experience that I meant to give you, you know, with this project. And so I feel the same way. Like, sometimes it takes people a moment to, you know, get a certain direction you're trying to go into. And like Prince was another fantastic example of that for me. Like, when I first heard the music to color to Purple Rain, I was like, okay, I like some of this. I love that. I don't like this. But then when I saw the movie, I liked everything. You know, like I was totally sold. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like whenever we make music, especially if it's creative and not just sort of cookie cutter, it sometimes takes the different aspects to make people get on board totally, you know? So that's my experience.
Man.
So bro, can I ask you, what did you think about the album?
I thought it definitely took me by surprise, man. I mean,
why? Can I ask you why?
I think for me, and I've noticed this with a lot of, I'd say, older groups, they tend to, what makes them stand above this current climate of artists, you know, with these current climate of artists, they tend to just phone in a project. And I guess there's that more to the streaming aspects of the modern industry, where the music is very throwaway. So you listen to an album, the lyricism is very shallow, the production is shallow, you know, a lot of times the mixing is horrible, you know, and let's be honest.
I won't name names, but I can think of a few.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very refreshing when you hear an album like Arrested. For me, your album was an album that I came across, my DJ passed it on to me as well, and I was like, you know, I wasn't expecting it. When I heard it, he was just like, this album's really good. I was like, okay, cool, let me check it out.
Can I ask you why? Can I ask you why you weren't expecting it? Why, from Arrested Development, why would you not expect a hard, boom bap, in your face album from Arrested Development? Tell me why.
Tell me why.
I know why, but tell the people why.
Tell the people why. Because Arrested Development as a group, it wasn't a group that was continuously on your radar. Because when you're being bombarded with so many modern acts,
yes,
you know, but you always hope, like, for example, every time Public Enemy drop an album, you always hope that, okay, Chuck's going to hit us with some food. Like, KRS Speech is going to give us some food. You know, an album that I need to hear at least 8 or 9 times to really fully decipher the lyrics, because there's so much layers to the lyrics. And then with your production, there's also layers to the production.
That's right.
Listening to it is just like, wow.
But this album, bro, Speech was like on fire. And I've said this every interview I've done. Speech was like inspired. He was just on it. You know what I mean? He was just literally on it. And literally, because I've been saying, put your hand up if you think Speech is better now 30 years later than he was in 92. Everyone's putting their hands up. And he is. Like, that's rare. Like, bro, can I just say, I know Speech is like, he's smiling and stuff. This is not just some sort of easy platitude. It's real. Yeah. Not many people are better 30 years later than they were when they started. They lose their intensity. But Speech is like almost like somehow grown. The intensity's grown. It's crazy. It's baffling to me. Man. But
And I mean, while I was doing my research and I'm looking at the numbers, officially this is the 12th Arrested Development album, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you've got 8 solo albums, right? With a 9th on the way.
Something like that, yeah.
And now he's rapping like he just started.
And one of the curious questions, which I definitely ask artists of your stature, is what keeps you so driven and hungry to create at such a high level?
Mm-hmm. Well, I love the art form, you know, so like for me, hip hop is an art form that, you know, I was raised on for most of my adult life. And I love where the potential of hip hop can be. And so for me, I listen to a lot of great hip hop out there, and I want to always put my hand in and make sure I'm playing my hand the best I can. You know what I mean? So I don't want to just throw something out for the sake of it. I want to make sure I'm adding to the excellence of the music and adding to the art form, you know, and the conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll just say this, right? Speech, who's got Grammys and he's got world recognition. Mm-hmm. He can bang out like literally hitting in a day, one day. Like I sent him 2 beats of the day. Literally, I sent him 2 beats. The next day I had 2 demos, which I thought were hits. I was like, this guy is a beast. And he's 52 years old. He's a beast. Now, still. What the hell?
I appreciate that.
A lot of these other dudes, Speech, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, a lot of these other dudes, they'll pontificate. I might write 16 bars. I don't know if I can. Speech will bang out a track, harmonies, the whole lot. And I'm going to say, nobody else in the industry does this at this age. Nobody.
Yeah.
So I'm saying.
I appreciate that. I mean, I do. I want to. I feel like I'm a beast. I feel like I'm grizzly. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. I take all of that. Thank you.
But Speech to grizzly and dope.
Yeah.
Not even grizzly, just dope.
Thank you.
Talking about. And look, doper than you were in '92. That's what I'm saying. And nobody else could say that. Ice-T can't say that. I'm not going to name names, other names, but a lot of people can't say that. So sorry about naming one name, but Ice-T's not entire. I'll find you.
But you know what? I think the climate we're in right now is almost like the maturation of certain artists, where you've got people like your Black Thoughts and your KRS and your Chuck D's that are just still at it. You know, and
yes.
As well, it definitely fits into that category, man. And my personal top 5 are definitely full of artists that have got prolonged 30-year careers.
Who is your top 5? Top 5?
My current top 5, I would be people like Black 4.
Positionally, let's put the positions. Number 1, number 2 to 5. Come on.
Oh no, it changes all the time. I'll be honest.
Okay,
well, it changes all the time.
Name the top 5 then. Just name the top 5.
I just need a top 5.
Currently.
I'd put Black 4 in there. I'd put I'd put Mos in there, KRS-One, Rakim.
Why Mos Def? He hasn't recorded anything.
Mos Def is somebody that I just like his essence as an artist, and
his past stories. Like he's not.
But then that's why you'd add a Rakim, because regardless, even though Rakim's not necessarily active anymore.
But I said currently. I didn't say.
Oh, my current. Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Currently, now.
Let's swap Mos Def for someone like Kendrick Lamar then. You know.
But even Kendrick, when did he last dropped 2.5 years ago?
Oh yeah, but when he drops, he drops.
But bro, I'm talking about this dude that just dropped 2 months ago. My bro, he's there, he's right there, he's spitting.
I didn't even get to 5.
I don't want to get too animated about this because I do too much, but yeah, like listen to the Forsaken. Yeah. Just listen to the Forsaken. The second verse, everything's there. Like, yeah. Don't overlook my dude.
I'm not over. That's why we're here and we're celebrating the album.
Yeah.
We're celebrating speech and we're celebrating.
Because he should be there. He should be in the conversation. Like
I'm a full advocate for it. You know, but I did want to follow on your point that you were saying, regards to the fans getting the full experience of the album. And I mean, how do you think it's affected the album? The fact that you can't tour the album right now. And give the fans the live experience.
Good question.
I'll be honest. I mean, you know, I think all of us in the creative world wishes we could tour. We wish we could touch the fans. You know, because that's a huge aspect of this music, and especially in this day and age where, you know, music videos aren't played on any TV stations anymore and all of that stuff. So you really need to be in front of people. So it's played a big role, and it's played a big role on the money aspect too as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're looking at what I'm hoping happens is that by the time we do tour, the hunger is going to be so ridiculous that sales are going to go even twice as much as they would have if everything was normal. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Agreed. But can I say one thing?
Okay.
Speech. Having access to Speech, who's not touring, is being like, he's a beast in the studio. Like, I wouldn't get that if he was touring. I wouldn't get that kind of same, like, immediate access to Speech. Like, he'd be somewhere else. He'd be like in Japan, Europe, wherever. But like, I could just hit Speech directly. You record the track the next day. Like, that is a blessing. Yeah. For a producer, it's a blessing,
it's
man.
A blessing. You're right.
I've honestly got to say this.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a question to both of you. And I mean, obviously, even though being in a global pandemic isn't necessarily a positive thing, but I mean, in terms of you as an artist, what positives have you found in the last 6 or 7 months? Just being at home.
I mean, for me personally, you know, having the ability to be able to create with such consistency and intensity is because of COVID-19. Also, I've been able to experience more life. So ironically, touring is an aspect of life that takes up a lot of time. You have to travel to get to wherever you're going. You're in your hotel most of the time, and then you do the show for 2 hours and you're back in your hotel, and then you travel again. Whereas when you're here all the time, like just at your house, you're actually living more life. I'm around my family. Correct. I'm around, you know, I'm able to experience things in a slower pace. So I'm experiencing more actual life experiences. And so that actually affects the writing too, because a lot of times for artists that have a lot of success, we're like, our albums start to only become about the travel and the success and the, you know, what awards we've won or what accolades we've gotten, because that's what our life tends to be wrapped up in. Yeah. But with COVID-19, it slows everything down, and now you're able to talk about just personal issues a lot because you're able to really go inside yourself, especially being in quarantine where you're literally by yourself or with your family only. So you're able to go internally a lot more. And so there's a more introspective opportunity to create, you know.
I think Speech as a recording artist has flourished during this time. I really do. Mm. During these few months, like 6 months, like 8 months, Speech has flourished as just a recording artist. He really has. Yeah. Introspective, time to dedicate to his craft. He's not performing. Yeah, I just really think that he's had the time to just focus and zone in on just writing and he's got his own studio. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a blessing, man.
And so
have the access. Yeah.
And so for those fans out there that may some people are very precious of the first album, and they don't want to. They think if they listen to newer albums, it will tarnish the love affair with the first album. What is it? What would you want to say to people that why they need to hear this album? What is it about this new album that?
I mean, I think first of all, it's gonna likely surprise them. Number two, to me, it adds to the legacy that they already feel about the group. Like, I'm the type of artist that I love artists too, just like the fans you just described. So I want to see where they're going to take me on the journey. Like, I don't want to just have sort of a moment in a bottle with them. I want to see where else they're willing to take me. And that's what this album will do. And so, yeah, definitely give it a listen, because it will, I think, surprise you just like, surprised you. And also, I think it will encourage people, because there is a lot of aspects of what hip hop was in the late 80s, early 90s, that golden era. There's a lot of aspects. There's a lot of that sort of constitution going on this record. You know what I mean? It has a lot of those same pillars of creative thought. You know what I mean? So I think that people will be inspired.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know how the industry's evolved now, and the new ways of consuming music. Has that in any way, shape or form affected your creative process when creating music?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, because you could if we wanted, we could release an album tomorrow. You know what I mean? So like, it changes. It changes the. You could have instant gratification. You know what I mean? If you chose to. But at the same time, it probably wouldn't do well without having all your ducks in a row so that everybody can know it's out there and it exists. Now, I will say people like a Drake or a Kendrick, if he released a record tonight, everybody in the world pretty much would know about it by tomorrow, because that's just the level of mainstream access that he has or they have. So, I would love to see a time when, even working with Configa, like Arrested Development could have, I don't want that kind of mainstream success, because that's just not where I want. But at the same time, to have that level of connection with the fans, where if we drop something tonight, we easily got hundreds of thousands of people that's right on it, ready to roll. Yeah. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love that. And I feel like we're starting to build to that right now.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. It's been a blessing, man. There's been a lot of people, fans of me as well, who have just invested in Arrested Development as well. It's been a blessing, man. True. Like, I think we're just at the start of a roll, and it's like, it started with Don't Fight Your Demons, and it's rolling into the next one. It's going to roll on to the next one past that. I just think, yeah, man, we're definitely onto something here.
So we're looking at
almost. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
we're looking at a resurgence right now of Arrested Development.
I said a renaissance. I was saying renaissance, not resurgence. Renaissance. Yes. Yeah.
That's incredible, man. So in your opinion, where do you think Arrested Development sits in the current climate of hip hop right now?
Is that to me or speech?
I mean, that could be to both.
I'll let Configa speak first.
Go ahead.
Go on, Speech. You do it, man. You do it, bro. Go on.
Okay, cool. For me, I feel like it's very competitive, and I think it's very relevant, no matter what kind of hip hop listener you are. So if you love Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, or if you love Mos Def, or if you love whoever, I think that this record still has its place, and that I'm very proud of. Like, it doesn't matter who you're into. This record still has a room in your house, in a sense, using an analogy. I feel like that. It's very relevant. It's not only for this crowd or only for that crowd. I think it's really just a room in the house,
It's, what, right? Bro, Back Down was the hardest track this year. hands down. So who expected Arrested Development to have the hardest track this year?
That's a good point.
And I'm speaking generally. I think it was the hardest track this year. I thought, like, people who expected to have hard tracks, Back Down was harder than anything. So Arrested Development, what do you reckon, bro? Seriously, who had the hardest track this year? Have you heard Back Down?
Yeah.
Bro, those strings, the opera thing, the classical thing,
it's hard.
That was in speech talking about playlists, guys, because we've had a lot of problem with those dudes and we don't like them. And he called them pasty cats. I was like, bro, pasty cats. That's such a good description. I was loving it. Because you submit you submit. Okay, Arrested Development was submitting to these dudes. They were like, oh no, we can't put you on our playlist. I was like, you don't know who they are. Like, 2 Grammys. What the hell? So yeah, these pasty cats thinking they run rap. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And it's crazy because actually one of the dudes on the playlist, young dude, he's like, yo, stay at it. You'll make it one day.
That's what he said to me. I was like, punch him in the face. I'm sorry to say. I was ready to lay hands on the dude. I was like, don't speak to speech like this in your life. Oh my God.
You could have wished that you could reach through the Zoom, isn't it? And just like grab him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm a big dude. Like, obviously you can't tell on camera, but yeah. Pasty cats, I'm not a fan of it. I was like, I felt like speech is putting up with this ludicrousness. These little dudes like saying, no, keep trying, bro. You'll make it next year. Make it next year.
Right.
Even 30 years ago, what are you talking about? What? Oh man. Okay.
I think we're starting to arrive to a place right now where there's going to be like, that whole playlist thing is going to be out.
Yeah, bro. Like, I do a playlist, but I'm not a twat. That's all I can say. Sorry, can I say things like this on your?
Yeah, that's fine.
But okay, but I'm not. Yeah, bleep. But you know what? I do a playlist, but I respect the originators. I respect people that have, older than me, have done more greater things than me. But when you get like, I'm 41. Speech is older than me. I'm like generations below. But when you get 2 generations below me, they don't know about Arrested Development. Yeah. They don't recognize the Grammys. I find that very disrespectful.
Yeah, I think that's a general issue with hip hop, man.
Yeah,
they don't respect their legends like, say, rock or other genres.
That's what I'm saying.
But I truly believe it. The change is coming in that respect. But
I think so too.
Boom Bap's coming back, bro. Boom Bap's coming back.
Everything goes in 20 years cycles, man.
Griselda's coming back. Look, Griselda, Boom Bap, signed to Shady Records. Like, the wheels are starting to turn for Boom Bap. I really think that. Trap is Trap is up there, but Trap will descend. Boom Bap's always been there.
Yeah.
Well, since like what, early 90s, late 80s. Yeah.
And so we're coming to the point now where we're going to get to the 30th anniversary of the debut album, and I guess this is a question you maybe get asked often as well. But what would you say is the legacy of Arrested Development, and how would you, as a collective, in your impact on hip hop culture, how would you like the group to be remembered?
Well, I mean, I think that's still developing, because there has been a point where we're often left out of the proper history of hip hop, and especially the impact that we've made. But I think I'm starting to argue that case, through the music, and I think because the album's being embraced, a lot of people are hearing that case and remembering, like, wow, that's actually true. You know what I mean? Like,
no doubt, absolutely.
So I think that the legacy is still being written, and I'm happy about that. I'm really proud of that. Like, I think even the legacy of what we accomplished in the 90s is still being written, and I mean, it happens too. Like, for me, there's artists that people don't tend to talk about, like Nina Simone. a lot of people didn't talk about her impact. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was because Kanye sampled her or I don't know what happened, but
that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Then a lot of people start like, yo, Nina Simone,
Joni Mitchell. Yes.
Another great example of that.
Yeah.
Where people weren't really talking about it. Then all of a sudden you realize it's like, oh, there is a flip side of what we've been hearing about so much. And these people were just as impactful as these people, but we were focused over here. And now we're going to focus over there because they deserve that focus. They deserve that respect.
Most def.
That happens in artistry a lot. And, you know, I feel like in hip hop, Jungle Brothers deserves that. Whereas, you know,
totally agree.
You know, if Tribe is discussed, they sort of soak up the oxygen in the room when it comes to native tongue artists. But and De La is probably right after. But the truth is, Jungle Brothers started all of that movement. You take away Jungle Brothers' first album, which had Tribe and De La on it before De La dropped. You know,
they were the first.
You got to give
literally the first.
They were the first native tongues.
Yeah,
you know?
They were.
So you can't take them out of the discussion. These are people that were just as influential as anybody. Because if you love Tribe, well, you got to give props to JB's because without JB's, there was no
Straight Out the Jungle,
you know or Red Alert for that matter. I mean, same difference.
Man.
He was the one that brought JB's on.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree.
Real talk, man. So you touched on it briefly earlier in the interview, that you've got a solo album that's coming in the new year, and Configa, you spoke about the working on another next Arrested Development, man.
We've got it all coming out, bro. Don't you worry. Yeah.
So what would you say?
Speak on the solo.
Yeah. So give us a little bit on the what the future holds for yourself, obviously with the new album that's coming and the following with a new Arrested Development project.
Yeah, it's cool. Like the solo album is called Expansion, and it's funny. I was gonna release it this year. Actually, I put it out on the internet. I said, "Yo, should I release
2 weeks later,
Don't Fight
bro?
Your Demons?
2 weeks later,
and should I release, Expansion a couple weeks later?"
That's right.
It was one of the people like, "No, let Don't Fight Your Demons breathe." And he was very right because the truth is,
very anti that. Yes,
it's like really doing well as far as audience, opinion on the record. So, Expansion will now be pushed to 2021. So I'm excited about it. It's a great record. It's very melodic. Configa's on some of the remixes. He's heard the record, pretty much all of the records.
Yeah, it's dope. It's
hot. But it's funny because even Configa is starting to realize like there's two sides of me. Like there's sort of a more melodic, I don't know, certain side of what I write to, and then there's more of a boom bap side. So I think the solo record has more of this melodic thing going on.
I get sent some tracks.
Probably
this is more for your solo. And then the next thing. This is more for AD. Like
right, exactly. Yeah. So that tends to happen.
No doubt.
And like songs like on Don't Fight Your Demons, songs like Journey On probably was like the most close example of what the Expansion record.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. That's incredible, man. So earlier you also spoke on a film, a documentary that you had on Amazon. And as a creative, I noticed that obviously you expand outside of just writing lyrics and songs. So have you ever obviously ventured into being an author or writing screenplays as other avenues to explore your creativity?
Yeah, I've done both because I do documentaries now. So 16 Bars is the one we were talking about. That's out right now. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on YouTube. It's on Vudu. It's various places. People should check that out. It's a full-length documentary, but I did another documentary series called The Nigga Factory, which is on YouTube. It's free. It's 2 parts of a 3-part series. And then I wrote a book called What is Success that I wrote back in 2009. And it's just talking about sort of this whole idea of success and spirituality. How do they mesh together? And I plan on doing a lot more. Like right now, I'm writing a screenplay with a great friend of mine named April Lundy for an Arrested Development movie.
Wow.
And so just a documentary, well, not a documentary, but like a biopic with actors.
I didn't know that one. I didn't know that one.
I didn't tell you that yet.
Bro. Right there, bro.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's a great film. and we're on our first draft of the script right now, and it's coming along really well. But we've been working on it for 7 years, so it's like one of those things that's just like in the fire. It's an iron that's in the fire.
So that
Give me a cameo.
Exactly. Yes.
In the crowd or something. Just in the crowd.
No doubt. Without a question. Without a question.
That is incredible, man. That's really cool. So that might actually coincide with the 30th anniversary as well.
It could actually. Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
That's pretty dope, man. And Configa, is there plans for any more solo projects from you as well?
Yes, there is. I just like, this year was my 20th year, but because AD took off, Don't Fight Your Demons, like, and then one thing led to another, you know, this year I've had two album contenders for the year, you know, two what do they call it? AOT of the year, whatever you go, yeah, whatever, blah blah blah. But yeah, I've got the album with Jahi from Public Enemy, the album with obviously Arrested Development. So yeah, two albums of the year. So this year I'm gonna chill for the rest of the year and continue working with Speech on the next Arrested Development album. Not gonna put anything else out. So I've got not just ignoring Arrested Development and Jahi. I put out a track with The Realist, Idi Amin, and Sibo. That was like a sort of track against police brutality. So that was another track that I did. And then I did another track with my guys AOR, Apostles of Rhyme, signed to my record label. So like that was yet another track. So I've done like several tracks and 2 albums this year. It's been mental. So yeah, I'm not gonna put this. I need to chill for the rest of the year, and then we'll get back into it next year. Man, yeah, that's what I want to do.
God,
yeah.
I didn't even touch on that. You run the label as well, Configuration.
Configuration Records, yes. I've got 3 artists signed. I've got D.A. Donny Boy. I've got Fro Magnum Man, who was on Arrested Development's album. Who was on Play with Fire. Yeah, Play with Fire. Yeah. And I've also got my dude Mike Audio. So we've got 3 guys on there. And I can't sign any more because I don't have the time. And to be honest, like I would love to sign a raft of artists, but each artist sort of like almost like needs a bit of like one-to-one, and I don't have that time. So so we got 3 guys and they're rocking. And I found those guys through a competition that I did last year.
Oh wow!
With Chuck D.
Wow.
Yeah. So like we put out the notice. Like loads of people were like, you know, applying, and we did like eventually narrowed like several hundred people that applied down to like the final 40, and the final 40 were narrowed down to the final 5, and then the final 5 were up like a public vote, and then the public voted for the top 3. But the one who won, didn't get signed because that was she was on some other ish. Okay. So yeah, the guy that was 2 and 3, they got signed. Yes.
Nice.
Man, that, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. Well, guys, I want to thank you lot so much for taking time to kick it with us, man.
No doubt,
bro.
On the Head2Head series. And obviously we're going to continue to support your music on our platforms as well.
Thank you.
So
thank you, bro.
You know, so keep up the incredible work, man. And again, album, incredible. Like you said, album of the year contender. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
AOT.
Can't even dispute it. Yeah, man. That's fantastic.
Oh, AOTY? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is there any last words you want to say, like where the people can get hold of you as well, if they want to, you know, touch with your latest?
You know, everything, you can get everything at brotherspeech.com. That has all the links to the album, to the documentaries, to everything. And also arresteddevelopmentmusic.com. So brotherspeech.com, arresteddevelopmentmusic.com. Of course, on IG and Twitter, it's speech__.
Awesome, man.
Cool. It's just me. At Configa, bro. Just everything. At Configa, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitter quite a lot, and I actually, because I'm on Twitter so much, it interferes with studio work. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of love on Twitter. So yeah, at Configa.
You're chasing those Donald Trump tweets then.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Guys,
Yes.
thank you so much.
I've been very anti him. Yeah.
Man, thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. And yes, certainly all the best going forward, man. Much love to
Thank you, bro.
Man.
Big respect. Big respect.
Peace, Configa.
Peace.
Peace, bro.
Peace.